Hello, Jane. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Let me try this a different way. Jane?
Hey, it's Jane.
Ah,
Hi.
hi. Okay, we did this.
We just, hold on, let me get off speakerphone. Just
Great.
Okay. Yeah, I started to do the Zoom link, but then there was software that needed to be downloaded, and I was like, oh, it just sounds like the iPhone's easier. So,
Fine, great.
anyway.
Which is totally why, because you don't necessarily, I need to be on the link to record it, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, got it.
You
Okay.
don't necessarily, so I give, people's preference, I give you the link and I give you the phone number to dial in.
Okay. Yeah, well, this is working, right? So we're good?
As long as it works, it's good.
Awesome.
Happy New Year, by the way, before we get started.
Happy New Year. And man, I don't know if you've been outside or not today. It's horrible.
Oh, don't tell me that. My next meeting is downtown.
Look, all I'm saying is just dress warm because it's every bit as bad as advertised. It's really windy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have just so you know, I have my snow boots out.
Yes, definitely wear them. Something over your head. I sound like your mom, but you know.
Yeah, I got the hat, the scarf, the snow boots. I pulled it. So just girl stuff. I stopped wearing turtlenecks during menopause, and I haven't gone back. And I still had a couple on the top of my closet. Yes, I climbed up there this morning.
Yes, no, I think a turtleneck is actually, if there was ever a day for a turtleneck, it's today.
Are you home or are you what?
I'm home now. So I was at work earlier and came home, and then my son wants to have a Nerf gun fight with his friends. I'm like, it's terrible. You're not having a Nerf gun fight. That would be completely irresponsible.
Are you on the Upper East Side? Where are you located?
Tribeca.
Okay. Is there an outdoor, like they shut the streets down? Like when my kids were young, I remember like there would just be certain streets and the kids just would play in the snow.
Yeah, well, I actually wouldn't, they've had days off before and stuff like that, and they've gone out and played, or like that Saturday a couple weeks ago when it snowed. Yeah. It's just the wind is what's the key. Like you can't even really. Yeah, I mean, it's like I couldn't even. I had a hat on and it kept like flopping down and moving. I mean, it's just not like, it's just not fun at all. So anyway,
they'll have the snow all weekend long, from what I understand.
Exactly. They can play later, or even later tonight. We'll see.
No, it is supposed to die down like around 4-ish. Isn't that what they said originally?
Okay, good.
I don't know if it's still if it's still on target. I mean, this was a few hours ago that I checked in.
Yeah. Well, and I think this storm is actually getting more worse. Because yesterday I was hearing like winds that only like an inch or so, and now it's like 8 inches of snow. So I think it's getting worse as it came upon us here.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just cackling because like I confirmed my appointment yesterday, and then I like emailed today, and I was like, okay, just confirm you are in the office, and if you would like to meet earlier, a few hours of my afternoon obviously got canceled. He's like, oh yeah, I'm here, really quiet day, come on down. Like,
okay. Yeah, well, my friend works at Morgan Stanley, and they didn't open today. At least her division or whatever. So, it's possible that they may go home early or something. So,
right. Yeah. My daughter's at Chase, and I was shocked. They gave them the option at the end of the day yesterday. If you want to work from home, we'll give laptop accessibility, whatever. And I was like, really? Okay. I'm surprised, but hey, I guess it's smart. It's smart.
Yeah, I mean, in these days, you can do a lot of work at home. I mean, computers and everything. You don't really need to be in the office. Why risk it? So anyway.
I agree. So any questions before we jump in?
No. I think we're good to go.
Okay. All right. I'll count us down to a 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Hi, and welcome back. Today, I am so excited and very honored to interview an amazing journalist. Her name is Jane King. Jane has worked with CNN. She has worked with Bloomberg. She has been on the floor of the stock exchange. This is a woman who has pushed the boundaries of what women can do and has done it on her terms and done it her way. Definitely, I see Jane as a woman, as I've gotten to know her, a woman who takes action and doesn't let the should I hold her back, but goes for it. So welcome, Jane.
Thanks, Ivy. That was a wonderful introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, as everybody continues to listen in, I kind of throw bios out the window, and really, I like to get to the heart of like, who are we talking to? Why is this interesting to you? And I'll always interview people who I find interesting and I want to learn more about.
Sure. Thanks. Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So tell me, how did you get, your bio says journalist, but you have passed the what we consider journalists. You're not just out there writing articles. You're really on the know in the financial world, on these floors, on the inside. How in the world did you get started in this?
Well, I've always been interested in business and the markets. And in fact, when I was in college, a couple of things, looking back on it, I was like, oh, there were like some early triggers there that kind of made me realize what my true passions were. So I remember in college, I played this, AT&T had some stock market game, and it was fake money, but you had $200,000 to play with, or $100,000 or something like that. And I just really enjoy kind of researching and buying stocks, kind of learning how the market worked. And then another time in college, my family, we came here to New York. So I grew up in Indiana, grew up on a farm, which was another reason why I think I was really around the markets a lot. So my dad was involved in the commodity markets. He would listen in his pickup truck on the radio to what the commodity markets were doing, and I was always kind of there listening to. And we came to New York on a family trip, and my mom went shopping, and I went to Wall Street with my dad because I wanted to see Wall Street. So, and here I am, decades later, working, and just have always been really interested in it. I felt like it's passion. I kind of got it. I got it intuitively. What was going on with companies and decisions and just the markets in general. And so here I am. So it's been a really interesting career in New York so far.
And you've been in New York a while. You have some great successes under your belt. And I'd love you to share how all of a sudden, you're a journalist, you're working for Bloomberg, you're on the floors, and now you're a business owner. And how did that transition and transpire?
Well, I moved to New York to cover the markets from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange for local TV stations around the country. So that was my job when I came here, and that was for CNN. And I did that for 8 years. And then Bloomberg also had actually a competing service. And this was right around the time that the 2008 election was coming around. Business news never got a ton of attention at CNN. And I felt like with Bloomberg, that was kind of their bread and butter. So I felt like I would, be able to kind of find my niche more at Bloomberg. So I moved over to Bloomberg. So that was 2008, still at the New York Stock Exchange. I mean, I just literally could see my new office from where my old one was. And then in 2013, in mid-November, Bloomberg decided to get rid of that division. So there were 12 of us on our team. And we all were told that the end of that year, so about 6 weeks from the day we were told, that they were going to stop offering that service and get out of that space entirely. And that was when myself and another person on my team decided to take it over.
And first of all, congratulations, because, businesses are launched. Yeah, and I would say over 50% of businesses are launched for when all of a sudden we realize we don't have our next paycheck coming up soon. You know, that downsized where we're let go. I truly think a point of passage that every successful person goes through is being fired in some way, because that is part of the foundation of builds our makeup of what we can go at.
Well, and I think it's too just kind of like the world that we're in these days is that I mean, companies are dynamic, they're changing. I mean, technology has changed so much just in the past 3 years, you know, let alone an entire person's career. So I think, you know, it's really good for people to kind of be super flexible, to plan for those things, kind of think through what if, and always be learning, always be trying to educate yourself on what's going on out there. It's really important these days.
I can't agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, I have an expression, the day I stop learning is the day I lay down and die. You know,
no, you have to, and it's enjoyable, and go out and network and meet people. Like I've over the past 6 weeks, I've learned so much about Bitcoin and tokens and that whole world. And like, it wasn't much I thought about before, but it's really interesting. So I think it's good. Just always, it's work, but it's kind of fun too.
So I'd love to ask you, in this journey you've been in, has there been any surprises of saying anything all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, you can't imagine when this happened, or surprises or pivotal moments?
Well, my background is really in kind of writing and being on television, producing, and I hadn't been exposed to a lot to the sales and business side of TV. So and my partner, that's his whole thing. Like he was a syndicated salesperson. He's been, you know, in the world for 30 years. And so I learned a lot about that. So, you know, I learned, you know, how you find the decision makers in the companies. And it varies, you know, from place to place. So that was a really key thing to learn. I also was surprised because at Bloomberg, we had a certain amount of clients that were taking the service. I was on their morning shows every day. Then when Bloomberg decided to discontinue that service, a lot of them were like, oh, you know, there was I was surprised by how cautious people were, and how there was so much CYA in the corporate world. Mm-hmm. Like people, it's new. Can they really pull this off? And can she do this? And does she have to stay? You know, kind of like, I mean, nobody ever verbally said that, but I'm sure that those were discussions that were taking place. Like, because once you put something on TV, you know, it's noticeable. I mean, it's not like, you know, people notice it. There's viewers, there's regular views. It's kind of a big step. So there were people that did not come on board with us early on that I thought would. So I was surprised by that. And then there were a lot of, so this was 2013, there were a lot of media mergers that were taking place right about that time as well. So Abilo was in the middle of a merger, then Gannett spun off Tegna as its broadcasting. So all those big corporate things delayed stuff. So we always had to wait until, to see how this all shakes out, and nobody wants to make a decision while the merger's taking place. And of course that takes a year because, you know, it got to go through the court systems, and, you know, people got to shed assets and things like that. So all of that was really educational to me, but we found our groove and we're still in business, and it'll be almost 4 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, there's milestones. There's milestones when you pass your first year, when you pass your second year, and, you know, you're on track for your fifth year, which clearly is going to happen. And these are milestones and huge celebrations. How are you viewed now from those people who weren't backing you early on?
Well, they don't, you know, they don't say the same things like they did in the first few months. Like, can they do this? And, you know, there's a lot of questions. I was moving locations. So I was at the New York Stock Exchange. I was moving to the NASDAQ. Well, a lot of people are like, you know, they don't know. I mean, like, I know the NASDAQ is a totally professional TV studio, but if you're in Phoenix, Arizona or Dallas, you're like, is the lighting okay? And how's the audio? And is it going to be a reliable delivery service day in, day out? You know, so there was a lot of questions that people in the industry had. about the service we were providing. I mean, we didn't have a big network like a CNN or a Fox or somebody to back us up. So we really just kind of put this all together ourselves. And, now that we're there and have proven that we are consistent and reliable, because it's going on 4 years, that, the next question is more like, well, can we get sponsors? So we've moved on to like the next level. Yeah. And now we just, try to convince them that they can get sponsors, and we share with them sponsors from other reports and try to convince them that this is a viable product they can get sponsored.
So you've been in this industry quite a while already, and
yeah,
I'm a strong believer in the greatest business is built by building great relationships in your journey. And those relationships come in all shapes and sizes. Has there been any significant relationships that you have cultivated that you say, this person's insight or, opportunities and insights, anything in particular that you've noticed in relationships you've cultivated?
Well, first of all, I agree with you. I mean, I think relationships and networking is so important. And in the TV industry, it's so hard to just get somebody to return an email. I mean, these people in TV stations are just bombarded with news releases and people who want jobs and the mayor of the town and, and all this stuff, that just to get somebody to even respond to an email is really difficult. So to have a relationship, I mean, you've already crossed a huge burden. Now, the next question is, will they do business with you? I mean, it's, so once you get the emails and you talk and you meet and you have conference calls, and then you got to cross that next hurdle about, okay, they'll actually do business. And there's a lot of politics in TV. I mean, there's, okay, I got to sell it to my sales department, and I got to sell the idea to the general manager of the station, and, and the corporate news director who's in a different city. So it's a industry that's mature. It's been around for a long time. There's a lot of layers of management. So all of that, you got to break through all that. So relationships are absolutely crucial to be able to do that. Now, since I've been doing this, I've also been doing some interviews with like small cap companies because I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So I really like to help these smaller companies kind of that are doing some really interesting and great things out there in biotech or technology, and to have them come. So they'll come to the NASDAQ. We'll do interviews with them. We'll give them a packaged interview, fully edited. They can put on their website or use it for social media. And I've met some amazing people that way that have been super helpful. So I think, there are times when you're tired and you just don't feel like going out or doing this extra bit of work. And I found that 9 times out of 10, it's worth doing. Just to put in that extra effort and do that extra piece of work pays off.
I agree wholeheartedly. And in my 20 some odd years in business, relationships are near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
So any tips or advice you have for women out there? Now, I also want to mention that your mom, we were just referencing, as we've gotten to know, kids and navigating this whole thing. Women who are on the rise, women who see themselves as, really dedicating, want to make a difference and love what they do. And you're navigating this path of you've made an impact in the field you're in. You've built your own business and you're continuing on that path. And you're a mom, and nothing has stopped you.
Well, there's a few things. Okay, so there's actually several things I would say make this work. So one is reliable Wi-Fi. I mean, so my kids are 8 and 10, and they're involved in a lot of things. They're in soccer, and they're in dance, and gymnastics. And I will take my MacBook and my phone and either hook into the local Wi-Fi or my hotspot on my phone, and I will get a lot of work done while they're doing their thing. So that's been, and that's relatively new, like just such widespread, fast, good Wi-Fi. So that's been a game changer. I have a really supportive husband. He also has his own business. And so he and I, tag team. We'll even, the kids had a snow day today in New York. So, he came home. He had a break in his schedule, came home with them a little bit. I came home. Now he's back at work. So a supportive spouse is really, really important. And I think a reliable schedule is also important. Like if I had a schedule where I wasn't sure if I had to just up and travel, but I know pretty much what my hours are going to be Monday through Friday with slight fluctuations here and there, but they're planned. That's also very key to make it work. So those are some of the important things to kind of manage your time, get everything done, and still be an involved parent.
Love it. Thank you for sharing. And I also agree with a schedule that is known and that is shared. You know, that's how
Yes.
I made it work with raising my kids. And at the time, both my children are now in the workforce, which is a whole different exciting time. I didn't have the Wi-Fi, but we had the communication. Everybody knew where everybody was, the responsibilities, and everybody owned up to the responsibilities. So great.
It's important. Yeah.
So Jane, really, thank you for spending some time with us. How do people follow you? Find out more about you? You know, how do we actually show other women what it is to learn about the markets, like your dad taught you, and actually my dad taught me?
Yeah. Well, I'm on Twitter at @MarketJane. I'm also on Instagram at @MarketJane, but that's kind of more just a fun thing. I don't put a lot of business stuff on there. My Facebook page, Jane King. I have a professional Facebook page. That's a good place to find out different things. And those are the main social media areas to do. We have a website, LilaMaxMedia.com. That's mainly kind of for clients to download videos and things like that. So Twitter and Facebook are probably the best places.
Awesome. So definitely, ladies, and a few gentlemen who are following us, check out Jane King. See what it is to really follow women who have had the guts to, no matter what we're thrown as curveballs, and life does throw some curveballs, we still show up. Jane's a leader because she has chosen to be. Nothing has held her back. She's embraced business and she's embraced parenthood. More power to you, and thank you.
Thank you, Ivy. Thanks for having me. It's been great to be here.